Hello. I want to thank you for joining us as we journey deep into the unknown. Tales of terrifying creatures, monsters, and more. As we take this journey together, be on the lookout for our hosts. Anthony Canatella, Steve Wildman Monrodis, Carrie Pocket Dog Davis of Dark Angel Medical, Joshua Jones of All Tower Media. Keep a special eye out for Mr. D.A. Roberts as we dive into these tales of horror, mystery, and monsters. Welcome to D.A. Ex Machina.
Good evening, folks, and thank you for joining us again on another edition of DA Ex Machina. Joining me tonight is my co-host, Anthony Canatella. Anthony, brother, how you doing? And our guest tonight is Jessica Jones, a psychic and remote viewer. She uses her talents to help research Bigfoot as well as Dogman and other projects, and we are very happy to have her here tonight. Jessica, thank you for joining us. For those in the audience that may not be familiar with what you do, could you give us a little bit of your background and tell us a little bit about remote viewing?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me tonight, by the way. And I'm so excited to be here. This is going to be fun. All right. Well, I'm Jessica Jones. I am just a regular, everyday lady living in Georgia. And I am a Bigfoot field researcher. I started off as a Bigfoot field researcher. And I have spent the past 11 years doing paranormal research out in the woods. And, I'm a member of 3 different teams: the North Georgia Cryptid Researchers, Anomalous Studies and Observation Group, which is a mouthful, and also Enigma Research Group. Now, you said I'm psychic. Well, I do remote viewing, and yes, I do have psychic abilities, and I know a lot of us have that, right? Everybody here has psychic abilities, but I utilize mine doing remote viewing. And I was taught that by the head of one of my teams after we had some very interesting ET/UFO activity out in the field doing Bigfoot research. So my whole team is trained in that. I do help, sometimes do cold cases and find missing people and stuff like that. But yeah, I never went public with any of my research or anything until around August of last year. I started. I actually spoke at Camp Disclosure, and after that, everything kind of snowballed into me having a show that I did with KGRA Digital Broadcasting called Into the Portal, and where I brought in a bunch of cryptid researchers and field researchers and even armchair researchers and whatever. And we talked about Bigfoot, Sasquatch, portals, UFOs, all that fun stuff. And I started a new show where I do remote viewing investigations with the guys from Texas Front Porch, Tex and Rob and Jason and Randy and Bob. So those are my co-hosts every Friday night, where I have been remote viewing like Bigfoot attacks and alleged Dogman attacks and a little witch here and there and a ghost. And I'm doing dinosaurs this week. So modern day dinosaurs. And I also am about to be a host at Spaced Out Radio starting in May, every weekend, Saturday and Sunday night. So
that's nice. Awesome. I know Dave Scott, great guy.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's a great show. I've watched some of your previous shows. I watched the one that you just did with Tex and about the LBL. I watched the one you did on Bell Witch, which was really interesting. And I've got so many questions because my wife and my youngest son are both what I would refer to as sensitives. If we go to some place and there's anything remotely haunting related, like we went to the Crescent Hotel down in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and my wife, she refuses to go back. My middle son
was scary,
my youngest son was creeped out the minute we got on the property. But I don't notice anything like that. I'm like a psychic brick. It's got to hit me in the face for me to even notice it.
That's me.
But I have had some odd experiences, and so I'm open to the possibility of psychics. I just don't know a lot about it, especially the remote viewing topic. I mean, I've watched a
Yeah.
couple of the History Channel documentaries on it, like how the was it Project Stargate, I believe it was, where they
Uh-huh.
built
Hmm.
and actually spy on the Russians, and it's a really fascinating field, and it's something I'd like to learn more about. But what I really wanted to focus on right out the gate here, and I hate to throw you to the wolves, so to speak, was I was really fascinated by your take on the incident at LBL.
Yeah.
And I don't want to just rehash what Tex did, because if you guys haven't seen Texas Front Porch, go watch that episode. It's a great show. Like and
Yeah.
subscribe to his channel. Check out her episode. Great episode. So I don't want to just rehash that. But you touched on some of the incident that it was really, the word I want to use is palpable. It really felt like you were describing details that there's no other way you could
Mhm.
possibly know, because they were vivid.
Yeah. I mean, I still don't, I only know what I saw, okay,
Hmm.
and what I experienced. And so, and I can promise you guys, I didn't even know what the LBL was when Tex suggested I do this target. Okay.
Right.
And so, I usually get, a lot of times I get blind targets when I'm doing remote viewing. Now, for the show that I'm doing with them, I am a little bit front loaded on all my targets just because I'm picking them out, or they're picking them out and sending them to me. So I do know that there's kind of what they're going to be, but I didn't know details about
Right.
this LBL family. I just knew that a family had been attacked, and there were 4 of them, and people had said that it was a dog man. Okay. And that's basically what I knew about it. Now, Tex had mentioned that it was really gory and it was going to be rough. Okay. And,
Hmm.
and so, I was prepared for that, I was prepared for it, but I've never seen a dog man. Okay. I deal with these nice little Bigfoots down here in Georgia and all over the South, but we also have dog men here, even in the county where I live, but I've never
Right.
seen one. Okay. And so, nothing really prepared me for all that carnage that I saw, because, we didn't even know if this attack really happened. There's no record of it. And so I was just kind of poking around to see if it was a real event. And that was my first target, was just seeing if there was really an attack. And let me tell you, not only was there an attack that I picked up on immediately, there were multiple attacks. And there are multiple families and individuals and couples that have been um, that have been attacked and killed and mauled to death. Okay, so I can't tell you the number, but they told me when I was able to ask a question to someone in the environment, they told me there are than I know, more than I know.
Mm.
So that's when I asked how many people had died or if people had died there. So
When I started digging into LBL, I noted that there was a higher than average number of reported animal attacks in that
yeah,
area, and there were a lot of people, a lot of incidents that were basically just glossed over completely. Um, the weird thing, for me personally, was when I was actually in LBL. It's an eerie feeling place. I mean, like I said, I'm like a brick. I don't notice crap like that, but I did notice LBL. It just had a very different feeling. As soon as you cross the bridge from Grand Rivers into LBL, you just feel it. In fact, if you watch the videos that I recorded there was one point where I was pretty sure someone was stalking me when I was at the Nickel Cemetery. You could hear it off camera. It's just a really weird place, and I kind of got that feeling in a number of places throughout northern part of LBL.
You freeze? I think she froze. Uh-oh. She froze up.
It wouldn't be one of our shows if something didn't happen.
Right. She froze right up. Uh-oh. Well, so how about them Yankees and Cardinals, huh? Oh,
I can't
man,
hear.
I can't. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
She's gone.
I no audio.
Oh, here
The
she
video's
comes.
good. I don't hear her audio.
Well, everybody, welcome to the DA show. That's all I got to
Yes, somebody
say.
must have mentioned satellite. We can't hear you, Jessica. I'm sorry. Can you hear us? Okay,
There
she
she
can
is.
hear us. We just can't hear her. Weird. It was fine just a second ago.
You know how to do sign language? I could pick up on that. You know, I mean, we can do that. It's good. I just get, you know, good.
If you look down at the bottom of the screen, Jessica, there's a little gear icon, and that's the settings. If you click on that and then go to the audio settings, it may have went to the default microphone, which is probably what happened. Restream tends to do that from time to time for some stupid reason.
Yeah, mine does it too, Jessica. Don't feel bad.
Crap.
Yeah, I hear her. What did he put? Northwoods Cryptid goes, I heard Anthony's dog drinking water. Laugh out loud. Sorry, guys. Hey, that's what happens when you got pit bulls. Sorry about that.
God. Jessica, maybe try logging out, logging back in. For some reason, we are not getting her audio at all.
No, it just like completely zip, like it was nothing, man. She was
Right.
talking fine and it went straight out. It's crazy.
Is it muted? You have the mute button on? There's a little icon at the bottom.
See if it's muted.
Restream strikes again.
Yeah, I think FYI, I think you should look for a double. You guys should look for another platform. What do you think?
Maybe. I might have to switch over to StreamYard.
Mm-hmm. That's what Kerry's using. He says he loves it. He has no issues with it whatsoever.
I have to look into that. We can't hear you at all.
Jessica, tried logging out and then log in. Don't worry about it. We got a world, honey.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
Again, wouldn't be one of our shows if we didn't have some technical glitches somewhere.
true. And we wouldn't have
I
the
may
dogs
have some-
barking, drinking water. But anyway, yeah, I would hear her side of the story when she did that. That sounded pretty nuts with the remote viewing that she did. I mean, I seen well, you're the one that really brought me to that story to look into it too, to look at it on YouTube. And I watched, I don't know, 2 of his interviews that he was on with.
Yeah.
And both his interviews didn't add up to me. They just, I don't know. That's just me. So nobody get mad at me. I got my opinion. Sorry. But yeah, it was pretty gory.
Testing.
Hey, we got you.
There you go. Now I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Where's she?
ma'am.
Yeah, she is.
Okay. That was crazy. I'm so sorry, y'all. I don't know what happened. Somebody didn't want me to talk tonight. All right. Did my connection just
still
drop,
with
or was
us?
it everybody?
You froze for a minute, and then when you
Okay.
came back, we didn't have any audio.
Okay. Sorry
Folks, I
about
just
that.
posted a link to the LBL video I shot.
Yeah.
Actually,
Okay.
several videos that have been combined into one video. But hope you guys will check that out sometime. Yeah, we were talking about LBL. It's a really weird area, and I had some pretty odd things go on while I was there, including the reactions of some of the locals when I tried to talk about it.
Well,
that's
you
really
and Nick went
weird.
there, right?
What's that?
Didn't you and Nick go there? You and Nick
Yeah, I
went there?
got there a day before Nick, but Nick and I were there for about 3 days together. I was there a total of 4 days and nights.
Well, I mean,
And Nick's
my
where?
question-
Up in New York, right? He's upstate?
New Jersey.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. It's really perplexing
Yeah, I didn't
as
know
to
there was
why
that many.
people are.
I didn't know personally there was that many dogmen sightings up that way, and that's where I'm from. Had no idea. No idea.
Go ahead, Jessica.
Yeah, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Y'all hear me? Okay, just making sure. Okay, yeah, it's really perplexing as to why people want to keep it so hush hush. But I mean,
You freeze again?
it makes it makes. Am I frozen? Okay, it
No,
makes
ma'am.
you wonder if have people been threatened? You know, or is the whole community threatened up there? I mean, I know that you know the I don't know. I know I don't know.
So it's Big Brother. Who said that? Lisa said it's Big Brother doing it again.
Yeah, you know these targets that I'm doing.
It probably
for
is.
That show,
Well, she's got to tell us some good stuff. Trust me.
There's a lot of government cover-ups, okay, going on, and you know I was picking up in my data that there are assassins, like trained assassins that go in and they hunt these beasts down when they get out of line or whatever. And
See, I can't see her. Can you see her?
Yeah.
I can't even see her.
Yeah.
I got a black screen with her name. That's it.
Uh-oh. Well, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. I don't know what the connection issue is. Go ahead.
Yeah. But you know, they've got contractors and people, I guess it's military, going in and kind of taking care of the ones that get out of hand, I guess. But they're, according to my data, they're being tracked. And so you know, I know Tex was telling me that he had heard that they are chipped and collared like dogs. Like they put chips in them so they can kind of follow them around. Which is pretty interesting, you know. I mean, I have a feeling that a lot of these attacks that I'm going to be remote viewing in the future are going to have a similar pattern of the story, you know, where there's going to be an attack and then a cover up, you know. And then and people act like it never happened, or they'll say that, you know, a mountain lion did it or a bear. But I think that it's important that we put this out there in the public and just have a conversation about it, because I like to go out in the woods and go hiking, and you know, occasionally I take my kid, and I need to know what's lurking in those woods.
Exactly.
And not only are we worried about dogman out there, and you know, and even alpha Bigfoots, but we also have portals and things like that. You know, my team has encountered what we call a portal out in the woods. It was very anomalous. Okay, so there's so many dangers out there. But there's also a lot of really cool stuff out in the woods too.
Yeah, there definitely is. Here, you're talking about mountain lion attacks. That's funny. Some of my books are set down near Kimberling City, Missouri, which is in Stone County. But in my books, I refer to it as Sloan County. I just got a note from that popped up on Facebook from the Stone County Sheriff's Department just this week, that they were cautioning people going out in the woods because they had reports of a possible mountain lion stalking people in the woods.
Oh, interesting.
Mountain lion behavior.
No, wow. Well, but it's a good cover up.
Like right after my books came out.
Wow. Wow. Now, do you think that and I'm not here to, you know, ask you questions, but I want to get your input on this. Do you think that there is oh, I don't know. I'm trying to think of how to word this. Yeah. What do you think about there being more sightings right now? What is your take on that? Do you think there's more sightings, or do you think people are just coming out and talking about it more? Of Dogman and
big shows like Finding Bigfoot and Expedition Bigfoot, and like some of the Josh Turner Expedition X. I think these have brought the subject of cryptids more into the mainstream, and people are starting to feel more comfortable bringing these out, bringing their stories to light. But I also, at the same time, think that sightings are on an uptick. Right. I'm not sure why. Yeah, I know here in Missouri, it's been odd that bears and mountain lions have both been kind of losing their fear of people. Springfield's the third largest city in the state of Missouri, and we're finding black bears and showing up on people's Ring doorbell cameras here in town. So that's odd in and of itself. But I think at a lot of animals that we've deemed as large predators, uh, because of the lack of predation on their end, have started to lose their fear of us. Yes,
Yeah,
I think
Wow.
that has to do with why we're having more and more interaction with these big predators.
I don't think
Yeah.
people.
That would make sense. Absolutely.
I don't
Wow,
think
very
people are
interesting.
getting.
Yeah, I just feel like there's been so many more sightings, but then again, I've never been public with what I do until recently, and so now people know that I go out and I research Bigfoot,
Mhm.
and so I think I'm getting a whole lot more people personally talking to me about it, and so that's why I'm seeing more of it, is
Mhm.
because people are comfortable talking to me about it, you know? So
Yeah.
that may be what it is on my end, but from what everybody's telling me is that there's just more sightings and, more people are seeing UFOs now and more people are seeing Bigfoot, and
Well, we're also
I
seeing
don't.
the government starting to be more open about subjects like this. I
Yeah.
mean, they've recently been declassifying more and more UFO evidence, and places like Ohio, the state of Ohio, has recently released a series of videos. The Ohio Department of Natural Resources released a series of Bigfoot videos, what to do
Yeah.
if videos. And when I first heard about it, I thought it was going to be tongue in cheek, and it's not. They're serious videos. U.S. military survival manuals are having what to do if you encounter a Bigfoot, especially up in the
Yeah.
Pacific Northwest. So I think little by little, the subject is a bit quietly being talked about more, especially by government agencies.
Yeah. I believe that. I mean, I don't know if you'd be shocked, DA, but it's kind of shocking with all the people contacting me with information and stories and things like that. Um, it's a wide variety of people, let's just put it that way. From all sorts of different sectors and stuff, from government to just the regular everyday person, um, with information about this stuff. And you got to kind of pick and choose who you're going to believe, because there's a lot of plants and a lot of people trying to feed us wrong information. So
I believe
um,
there's a lot of disinformation out there.
there's a lot. Yeah. I mean, I guess there's a lot, but I surround myself with people I trust, when it comes to the research and
Absolutely.
um, yeah, because it's and we don't bring new people in to my teams usually. So
I
uh,
don't blame you. I mean, when you've got a core group of people, it's hard to establish that level of trust with somebody new. I totally get that.
it is, yeah. I mean, any of us would lay down our lives for the next, with anybody on our team. So yeah, that's the way it should be, So yeah.
I think Anthony's
Um,
having some internet issues.
yeah. Hey, that's
Um,
usually me. I'm usually the one having some internet issues. So
as a remote viewer, what is your take on the missing 411 cases?
yeah, that's an interesting question. Because like I had mentioned earlier, my team has experienced something that we would consider to be a portal.
Mhm.
So, which is it's really weird. And it's something that I don't think it's been documented before. And if it has, nobody's come out with it. Um, but yeah, we have evidence of it. We haven't released it to the public yet, but um, I think people are walking into portals. Personally, whatever this thing was that we encountered, two guys were sent into it, guided over to where it was. They couldn't see it with their own eyes, and the people that were looking at it through their FLIR guided them over into it, and they were being recorded the whole time. And when they got over to where it was, their heat signatures completely disappeared, and they said that the whole environment changed
Mhm.
when they walked up to it, and the stars were gone. They couldn't see the stars anymore, and the vegetation changed, and all sorts of weird stuff. They said it was like walking into a black velvet curtain, is what they said, and they turned around and walked out. They didn't know they were walking out. They just turned around and walked, you know. Um, but the thing ended up moving and shrinking down to a smaller size, and it moved and it disappeared. So had they stayed in it for another 30 seconds to a minute, they might have gone with it. We don't know what that was or where it went.
Mhm.
And that wasn't the first time that some of the guys, or one of the guys, had experienced that before. That was the second time at a different location. So I think that I think there's a wide range of things, of culprits for those people going missing. I think everything seems to always go back to ET. Okay, in my opinion, a lot of our Bigfoot research has kind of gone down the alley of like UFOs and ET stuff. You know, we have a lot of different activity out in the woods when we were doing Bigfoot research. So, I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, now I've got Dogman on the radar now because after this remote viewing show that I'm doing, and I did the LBL Beast, I'm thinking maybe they're getting taken off by dogmen, and it's all covered up by the government. So we don't know where these people are going. They're probably a good portion of them probably are being attacked. And
I think has been aware of these types of creatures for a very long time. They just have not come forward with it because they would be culpable in a lot of these disappearances.
yeah, yeah, it's really a shame. It's kind of sad and it's scary, not knowing what all's out there. But it's almost like I want this to not be real, you know. Um, and I wish it wasn't. To be honest, I mean, you know, it was all fun and games, and it was just a sweet little Bigfoot. Now I've got Dogman to worry about.
Well, we've got a lot of Native American lore on Bigfoot being dangerous as well.
Hmm.
A lot of the lore indicates that they would come into their camps at night and carry off women, children, even sometimes
Yeah,
men. So I've often thought that a good chunk of the missing 411 could possibly be some sort of cryptid predation,
hmm,
because David Paulides doesn't profile the cases where it was fairly obvious it was an animal attack, or they find them. They're the ones that disappeared under extreme circumstances, and
yeah,
there's some really bizarre disappearances in those cases.
they
Um,
are.
I've always been because I spent so much time in law enforcement, I've always been more focused on the physical evidence that things I could find. And years, I really didn't subscribe to a lot of the what they refer to as the woo in the Bigfoot field.
Yeah,
But I try to keep my mind open to all possibilities now because again, these everything we know about cryptids are theories. But we don't
right.
have any solid proof. So all we have is theories to go by. So I can't discount anybody's theory simply because it doesn't line up with how I look at things. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to be more open minded about the possibilities. And I'm telling you, after watching some of the specials on remote viewing, I was really interested in having you on, um, because that just it really fascinates me. Um, is it I know I'm stumbling over my words here, but is it like a form of astral projection?
Yeah, people ask me that sometimes. I mean, it's different. It's actually different. But it what it is, it's kind of like just pulling information out of the matrix, okay? Yeah, and you do kind of travel there. And if you look at it on a multi-dimensional level, kind of, yeah, it is kind of like astral travel a little bit. But you know, you do have to get into a kind of a theta state sometimes, depending upon what type of remote viewing you're doing, because
Mhm.
there's so many different modes of it. Okay. And so the one that I do, I don't really get into like theta. I don't do like the hypnotic remote viewing or the energetic remote viewing. What I'm doing with the remote viewing that I do most often, and that I'm doing for these targets for my show that I'm doing on Fridays, I do coordinate remote viewing. And that's where I sit down at the table and I plot out some charts, and I get my target. I get a set of numbers, and they're assigned a target. Okay, and they're just random numbers, and I I just start writing, and everything just starts kind of flooding in all the information. I just kind of open up to it, and kind of channels through. And by 6, 7, 8 pages later, I've got a pretty good idea what my target is. And yeah, when all the information quits flowing is when I pretty much end my session. But yeah, like I said, there's different types of remote viewing. Okay. But yeah, the one that I do the most is that coordinate remote viewing, where it's not so deep. I don't get there in like a hypnotic trance or anything, but you can go there. It's just different modes.
Yeah, like I said, it's something I didn't really understand. Uh, I said it just a little bit ago that I was kind of a psychic brick,
Yeah.
because things like that just don't come easy to me. But I find it really fascinating, especially when I was watching you on Texas show talking about the LBL incident. You were mentioning incidents that Jody Cook and I had talked about in conversations, because Jody spoke to two of the highway patrolmen that were actually there. So when you were talking about certain details, I was like, "Holy crap!" Just gonna put this on the head, because there were elements that hadn't actually been put in some of the accounts that Cody was talking about. Um,
Yeah.
and another one I wanted to touch on was I know it's like go diametrically big jump was your Bell Witch viewing, and
Mhm.
that whole Bell Witch situation just creeps me out. Um,
It is weird, right?
it's really bizarre.
It's very bizarre. And I wanted to do something that wasn't so violent because I had just remote viewed the Dyatlov Pass alleged Yeti attack the week before. So what I'm having to do now is kind of stagger my targets. Like I'll do a gory one week, and then I'm going to do something fun, a little more fun,
Watch
and I'll do
Bell.
another gory one, and then we're going to have some fun the next week. But yeah, the Bell Witch was very interesting because it was just something that it was actually in historical records in our country. It's like in the Library of Congress or something, and they have historical markers up for this thing, and people still go there today as a tourist attraction. Okay, and they say if you even pick up a rock and take it home with you, horrible things will happen to you, and you just get really bad luck, and people die, and you lose your job, and lose your home, and all that kind of stuff. So I just thought it was a really cool thing to remote view
Mhm.
because it was so interesting. They were hearing voices talking to them, and it was like an old lady, and they had they were trying to blame it on the school teacher for a while. The little girl, I think her name was Betsy Bell, and her school teacher had a crush on her, and they didn't like her boyfriend. Okay, so and I'd read somewhere that he was a ventriloquist. Okay, so they were kind of blaming all this stuff on him, but it would have been very elaborate if one man had done all of the hauntings that they were having going on there with levitations, and the girl's hair was tied to her bedpost at night, when she'd wake up and things like that. So just weird stuff. And I remote viewed it really particularly to see what happened to John Bell because it was alleged that the witch had poisoned him and killed him. And so I remote viewed that, and I did not see that that was the case at all. Now I think elements of that story are real, and it was very haunted, and it had something to do with the land, and there was a very ancient energy there. Native American. This predated the Native Americans, though. This energy there, that it was kind of a dark energy, and but somebody conjured it up. It was conjured up by somebody, and I think it might have been that woman that was mad at him over the land dispute. So, and he had slaves as well. Okay. And so I got a voodoo element. There was a lot of voodoo going on there. Okay. So, but yeah, I think he died from a heart attack, and he had fallen and hit his head or something, but he had a heart attack, and that's how he died. It wasn't poison.
And the whole Bell Witch thing is really just one of the weirder stories that I've looked into. Because there's so many weird elements to it, and the fact
Yeah.
that people, even today, if they take like a rock or something from the cave, that it transfers that negativity to them. So I definitely, if I ever actually get a chance to go there, I'm gonna like stop at the edge of the property and make sure there's nothing stuck to the bottom of my shoe.
I know.
All right, let's get the rocks out of the cracks of the shoe. I'm not taking any
I
of this.
know. I think Rob said that Rob was my co-host, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, and he said that he would have worn rubber boots and stuff. So no rocks would get stuck in his shoes. So
So,
and I like to take rocks from I love quartz. And so my son and I collect quartz. So everywhere I go to do Bigfoot investigations and Bigfoot research, I usually bring home a piece of quartz for my kid. So I'm thinking twice about that now. It may not be a good idea.
well, quartz is a great focal point. It picks up the energy around it, so God knows what you could be bringing home. Um,
Well, I got a house full.
there
Yeah.
you go. So, you said you were done remote viewing on other famous Bigfoot attacks. Did you do anything on the Brown Springs incident?
I did. Oh my gosh, that's how I got started in this actually.
Cool. I'd love to hear your
Yeah,
take.
I did. Okay, so Tex asked me, I went on his show, and I had never met Tex or Rob before. But they asked me to come on their show, and I met Tex for the first time that morning. And I had a blast on their show. And Tex asked me, there's a case that, he told me about the case of the couple that got murdered there. And he said, if you could, it'd be great if you could remote view that. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't think that I would, because I didn't want to remote view something that could be potentially gory and rough. Okay. So, but they were coming on my show. I booked them to come on my show a month later. And when they got there, I surprised them with a remote viewing target that I had done regarding that. And so, yes, I did that. It was alleged that a Bigfoot had attacked a couple there. They were out parking, and they were both what do you call it? Ravaged, I guess you could say.
Brutally.
Brutal. Yeah. I think the guy's head was about torn off or something. I mean, it
One
sounded.
of the versions I heard was twisted backwards, and another version I heard it was twisted off. There's 2 or 3 versions of the story floating around.
Yeah. Well, I did look into it, and I did not find any Bigfoot in the vicinity. Okay. It was actually people that did that. And I was getting like a gang, like almost like an initiation, but it was very satanic, very dark. Some sort of a ritual, okay, kind of took place there, but it was more like an initiation. And I did not get a Bigfoot that did it at all. It was more something evil, like a bunch of evil people
Well, it took
attack
a lot
them.
of strength to turn somebody's head around.
It would. I know. It didn't. I didn't get that his head was completely turned around, but it was his neck was broken for sure. There was a lot of. I mean, I'll send you the data so you can look into it if you'd like.
Okay. Yeah, I would like
Yeah,
to.
I think that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, you can see if there's anything in there that maybe you hadn't heard
Awesome.
about before.
I'd like to check it out. I had a question
Yeah.
from our audience. Werewolf 5674 says, question, if you can remote view, which implies looking at different time and place, why can it not be used to spy or at least answer questions about causes of events? I'll let
It
you
can't.
answer that one. I'll let you answer that.
Actually, it is used for spying, and that's what our government uses it for. So,
What
absolutely.
Project Stargate.
Yeah, and Project Jedi as well. It goes back. We have a pretty long history in our government and our military using remote viewing. So it was originally used for psychic spying. The Russians were using it, and so the Americans were using it during the Cold War. So yeah, I'm sure they probably still use it today. I couldn't imagine them not using it, but
They did get some really good results.
yeah. Yeah, they did get some good results. I mean, it's very scientific. It's not just like a bunch of people sitting in a room. I mean, and it takes a lot of work. I mean, I've been doing it for about 10 years, and I'm still not an expert on it. I enjoy doing it. I do this for fun because I like doing it for kind of like a hobby to keep my psychic muscles working. But yeah, it's used for spying. Yeah. And I have kind of a code of ethics. I think everybody I do remote viewing with, we all have a code of ethics. And it's almost like I wouldn't teach everybody remote viewing, because there's a lot of people that could use it for very sinister things. You gotta use it for good, but you can use it for bad.
Well,
So
that's anything in
yeah,
life used for good or for bad.
right,
All intent is the entire thing.
exactly.
What are some of the more famous cases you've looked into? I know you said you help find missing people and things like that.
Yeah. Well, the missing people thing, it's usually cold cases. I was contacted by the Nancy Grace show, I think it's Crime Stories. And they had asked me to try to help solve a cold case to find out where this gentleman was that lived in my area around here in Georgia. And the case was going cold. And but I wouldn't say that was a famous case at all, but it was. I did see that my data told the story what happened to him. Okay. So yeah, that kind of a thing. But I mean, I just recently started looking into cases that people are familiar with, because usually it's cases that nobody's heard of, and it's just um, law enforcement or families wanting to know where their loved ones are. Okay, so I wouldn't say famous or well-known cases, but important nonetheless.
Yeah.
But the famous cases, I mean, if you want to call them famous, I've only done a few of those. So I did the Dyatlov Pass, which was an alleged Russian Yeti attack back in
Mhm.
1959. I did that, and then I did Bell Witch. I did the Texas case of that couple,
Mhm.
and I have done the beasts of LBL so far, and those are the only ones I've done that are kind of well known.
Well, tell us a little bit about a little bit. Well, I could speak English. And tell us a little bit about the Dyatlov Pass reading that you did.
Yeah, that was really interesting. Well, it pretty much started off knowing, I mean, it was the same message kept coming through over and over again. I did about 4 or 5 targets. Okay. Like I looked at it from different angles. And so I was very thorough on this one. And the same message came through every target was that they were, something came from the sky. Something came from the sky. They said, it was not, it was not a Russian Yeti. Okay. It wasn't the mink is what they call it. It was definitely something to do with military. And they were trespassing. They got off course and they wandered into the wrong area. And they were kind of bombarded by a bunch of things falling from the sky. That they said they're like umbrellas, parachutes, things like that. And they were lit up. They were lighted up, I guess. I don't know how you say that. But they took off running. I mean, they were kind of got attacked a little bit. But it's just because they were in the wrong place, wrong time, and some of them were confronted and by some bad people, and that's what happened. And it was like a suicide mission once they left that tent because it was 15 below zero.
And they left all their safety equipment, no
Yeah,
boots.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
really
bad.
horrible incident, but I often wondered if it had anything to do with any kind of like Alma or Almasty. I didn't think it was a cryptid because of the condition of the tent. I
Mhm.
looked at some of the evidence photos. The tent had obviously been cut from the inside. It wasn't something slashing their way in.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
stung badly.
Yeah, it was, they were just scared, but they knew that the message that they kept telling me because I was doing some deep mind probes on them, and they were saying that they had trespassed and that they ran, they had been detected and they were kind of run out of there. And I kind of, okay, this is going to sound crazy, but I did pick up a little alien vibe. Okay. So there was some sort of UFO alien kind of energetics out there as well. In at least the last part of my target where I think there were 4 of them that were found kind of in a ravine months after the others were found, their bodies were found. And, there was a weird little element to them, okay, and, some of them were mutilated, um, but they said that the one of the women that was there told me that she was mutilated while she was still alive, and it was by a soulless being, and so I think that could have been a human, um, but yeah, I don't know, maybe there's some kind of weird UFO stuff going on out there. I mean, there's no telling. I mean, I've seen such weird stuff at this point in my life, and with all the research that I do, that anything is pretty much possible these days.
I
But
would totally.
yeah, but I think they stumbled across some kind of military thing out there.
You've been involved in looking into the Bigfoot phenomenon for a long. What's some of the most interesting evidence you guys have collected? Like one thing I always like to ask people about: what is your most terrifying experience with a Bigfoot? I always love asking that question.
Yeah, well, okay, well, here's the thing with my Bigfoot field research is that it always leads us to other phenomenon out there, and so we've experienced plenty of Bigfoot out there. Um, but the more scary things probably don't have anything to do with Bigfoot. Okay. Now there's something did come up, and the only time I've ever truly been scared. Um, and it was just a little bit of scared. I didn't sleep the whole night, of course, but something came up and ran. I don't know if it ran or walked. Something came into our camp, our base camp, and it screamed right behind my tent. Okay. And it was a scream that was not an animal, and it was definitely not a human. Okay. And it sounded like a woman wailing and moaning and like an animal. I just don't, I can't even explain it. I don't even know. I just know that every one of us just stopped in our tracks and just stood there like, okay, what the heck is this? And then all night, my tent was pelted with acorns all night and rocks. So from like a horizontal angle, it wasn't like anything falling from the sky. It was straight up being pelted all night. So, That was the only time I've ever kind of been scared, actually. The other times that we've had activity, we're pretty inoculated, to all of the activity. So, but that was a scary experience.
There you are, brother. I was hoping you'd make it back.
You know what goes on with Mike. Please, we talked about it before the show. I'm ready to take this thing and throw it out the window. No, I'm sorry, Jessica.
Your laptop directly beneath that cable. I think that would probably help.
That's what I'm going to do tonight. And I don't mean to mess up the show, but before you get off, I want you to log back on when I do. So I want to see how it works.
Okay.
But anywho, what did I miss?
We were talking about some of the remote viewing cases she'd been involved in. Brown Springs, the Dyatlov Pass.
Now, did you guys touch
Dyatlov Pass?
Did you touch base with that attack anymore or no?
Well, I haven't really talked in depth about that one yet. No, but but yeah, we touched on it, but I didn't get in depth with it or anything. So, I mean, and we can talk about it. I want to hear what you guys have to say about it, because the things that I saw were pretty scary, and I've never experienced anything like that out in the woods. Okay, never. Nothing that scary.
Have you ever, let me ask you a question. Have you ever ran into anything personal besides what you've seen remote viewing?
Personally, outside of, you mean like with Bigfoot and all that kind of stuff? I've run into all sorts of things. I mean, I have, like I said, I had aliens in my house at one point. Okay. So,
right. No, I mean, no, that's
once you start diving into all of this, I was telling DA about the portal incident that my team experienced out in the field, so that's actually pretty scary. But, as far as things being scary, I don't get super scared out there because I've been doing it for a long time, but we're so inoculated. And, I think, my team we purposely go to where like the most crazy stuff happens, the most high strangeness that we can find.
I do the same thing. If I can find something, I'm going there.
Yeah. So, like I said, the only time I've ever really been scared was that time something came into our base camp, which is very unusual, and screamed at us really loud. Okay?
Really?
Yes. I mean, screamed. It was almost like a woman kind of wailing and moaning, kind of, but it wasn't a woman. And then it sounded like an animal, and it was just
you're not terrifying. The only one you're not the only one that's been saying that. A lot of eyewitness accounts, say the same thing. Even down here, it's like you go back. Even my time being out in the woods hunting, you hear some crazy stuff, and you just blow it off as coyotes or bobcats or like we have panthers here in Florida.
Right.
And you blow it off. But then as I got deeper into the wormhole with, being on DA's show and helping them, a lot of stuff you start thinking about and you're like, wait a minute, maybe that wasn't a panther. Maybe that wasn't a coyote.
I mean, and the beautiful thing is like we have so many, we have such a diverse team. I mean, we have a wildlife biologist on our team. Okay. And so we've got a nuclear scientist on my team. I mean, we have, medics and, people that work in the health professions and government people. And we've got, I mean, I worked in state government for most of for almost 20 years,
Right.
But we have a wide variety of experts in different things on our team. And so there's always somebody there that will know, what animal sounds are out there, and we've over all these years, like we kind of teach each other everything that we know as far as like the tracking goes and anything, wildlife, camo awareness. I mean, you name it, whatever, we're out there. Combat medical training. I mean, I know how to cover a sucking chest wound. Okay. I don't know why, but I know. Okay, I know how to do these things now. You've
been on Doc's channel on YouTube, haven't you? You watched his videos.
No, I was taught. Yeah, no, I mean everybody that has a specialty, we teach it to everybody. We share, and so
diversification of skills.
So that's what we do. I mean,
you guys are like an A team. a special forces A team. Yes, everybody has a skill set and backs everybody up on their skill set. Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
that's what we do. So, so everybody's, there's an expert, none of us are experts, but there's somebody that knows a little more than the rest of us about whatever's going on out there. And so we, we're there for each other. And so when we hear noises or we see something, we discuss it, and everybody has the most important thing that I think is having an open mind. Okay.
Right.
And everybody has a super open mind on my teams. Okay. And we're all there to help each other, and we're all there to learn and to change our minds. I'm not one of those people that's like, it's my way or the highway when it comes to this research. I mean, I'll change my mind right now if somebody will show me.
I got a question for you.
What's that?
Those portals. Do you think they're third dimensional, fourth dimensional? What do you guys? What is your take on that, and what does the team think? I mean,
yeah. Well, it's funny. We don't really know for sure. This thing showed up in a field, and it was just a big square cube. It was a cube. Okay, it looked like a kind of like a cube on the thermal. Okay, and I've seen the video of it because I didn't see it live in person. It was there were two people that were looking at it through their FLIRs. Okay. And it looks like there's like a little door in the front. And I know my friend David was out there. He's the first one that spotted it. And he said that, before they were able to start filming it, it was actually a lot more solid looking. And the temperature was different. It was actually more cold. The temperature turned to like more hot. Okay. Before it disappeared. But he said there was a door in the front of it, and it had like 2 crosses or X's inside of it. It was really strange. Now, if you want my personal opinion, I think it was either some kind of alien technology, or something that our government or somebody has. That's my opinion. I mean, I may not be right.
I'll touch base with you on that one even more.
Okay.
You're not the only one that has said that. There's people that I know of that DA knows also, but I'm not going to mention any names, that do research out in a certain area here where I am in Florida, that have ran across certain things that they can only pick up with their flare systems and night vision. Okay. And it'll be there when you take it off and you look with the naked eye, it's not there. And then when they put their NVGs on, night vision goggles or flare, it's there.
Yeah,
hovering right there in front of them, and then it's not when you look at it with your naked. So I believe it does has a lot to do with my opinion, government.
Yeah, me too.
A lot of the facilities in the area that these guys are doing the research in, there's a lot of facilities in the area that have contracts that do drone technology, do engines for military stuff like that. Even the meter, the magnetic field in the area. Certain areas of this area, it goes off the chain. And all these things show up. So I back you on that one. I do believe what you're saying. I have my opinion. I think it is government. They don't want us to know. They're trying to cover stuff up. And I'm not trying to go down the rabbit hole with conspiracy, but I know for myself, DA knows himself the experiences that we've seen in the past and I've dealt with. Government will cover some stuff up.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, it was interesting that I was speaking at this Camp Disclosure event last year, and I met a gentleman there who's become a good friend of mine. His name's Barry Littleton, and he does Bigfoot research and things like that. And he had had some abduction experiences since he was a kid, and he was given a presentation there. And he's a paranormal investigator as well. And the pictures that he had put up on the screen showed a big black cube inside of these spacecraft that he had been on. Okay. And it looked like the cube that had shown up in the field. So I, immediately started talking to him about this, and we've been putting our heads together and maybe possibly making a connection between what this is on the spacecraft and then what we've had in the field. Is it some sort of teleportation device? Is it a Stargate of some sort? Is it a power generator? Like what is this?
Right.
because, like I said, we really don't know. We still really don't know. But yeah, I mean, I would not be surprised if it has something to do with some technology that somebody's gotten their hands on here, in the human form down here.
Yeah,
you
there's a
know?
lot of weird stuff that, yeah.
We know for a fact they were able to create portals in the Large Hadron Collider. We know,
Yeah.
we know that happened for a
Mhm.
fact. And
Yeah.
that's what is publicly admitted.
Right.
And one thing I've discovered that, in my own research and my own time in service is that what the government is willing to admit is far below what we're actually capable of.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
even by
I don't
me,
doubt that.
We know way more.
you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
even by me, Jessica, over here in Ocala, most of the sightings here in Ocala are around a military facility. Okay.
Hmm.
That's most of the sightings. 90% of the sightings here in the forest, Ocala National Forest,
Wow.
happen by a bombing range.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, why is that? I mean, you can't get near this bombing range at all. And they still do bombing runs out here by me. You could
Oh,
feel
really?
them and hear it. Oh yeah. Yeah. And most of the sightings, that's, it's right at this military facility, a couple
Yeah.
100 yards away. So yeah, I mean, it's a touchy situation, touchy subject when it comes to that with people that are like, oh, here we go, rabbit hole. Here we go. We're going down that rabbit
Right.
hole. But, unless you're out there doing it with boots on the ground, you have,
run into weird stuff when you're out in the field.
right.
I
Yeah.
had a chance one time, had a conversation with a guy that was retired Air Force. He was an SR-71 pilot. And I said, well, the public record says the SR-71 can do in excess of Mach 3. And he just starts laughing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it'll do well in excess of Mach 3.
Mhm.
I can't tell you how fast it could go, but Mach 3 is a drop in the bucket. So I'm
Right.
like, holy
Wow.
crap, how fast can that thing go? And he goes, all I can tell you is it's way above Mach 3.
Right. Right. I mean, and
Well,
then you have your specialty doing what you do, and you're with all these guys that have their specialty,
mhm.
Yeah, it's got to be draining on you. I can imagine, especially mentally,
It's fun though. It's fun. It's not draining. I mean, it is draining when I'm doing like a remote viewing target,
Yeah,
of a family getting ripped apart. That's a little draining. But other than that, no, I mean, it's fun. And there's nothing that's more replenishing than being out in the woods,
right.
So any chance I get to go to the woods, I'm there.
Right. I'm right with you.
Even if I find nothing evidence worthy, I still spend a good day in the woods.
Yeah. Well, at this point and, all the research and stuff that we've done, I've gotten to where like I'm not there to prove anything to anybody. So I'm
Mhm.
not out there collecting evidence.
Right.
I'm out there experiencing. Okay.
Oh,
And so if people want to hear my story, I would love to tell them, and I'll talk about it. But I tell people, go and see for yourself, if you want to see a Bigfoot's real. I could tell some people all day that, all of my experiences and that I've, Bigfoot's real, and they're still not going to believe me.
No,
you
they
know?
don't. They
So,
don't. Unless it happens
know,
to them, then they can talk about it and be like, "You're right." And I was one of them. Like we said before, I was
yeah.
a non-believer. None. I'd
Yeah.
laugh
Well,
at you.
it took me, 10 years to come out publicly about me being in
Mhm.
the field doing research. So,
I
there's a
don't. I
stigma.
hear you. I hear you. Do you want to dive? Do you want to dive into the LBL a little bit more, or what? It's up to
Yeah.
you.
I want to talk some more about that, about the LBL incident. Like I
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
I spent several days there, and I got a really weird vibe. And there was one area in particular where it felt like I was being watched. And it's a campground called Demumbers Bay.
Oh, they're
And
watching you for sure. That's part of my
yeah,
data. They sit there in the shadows and just watch.
I actually, I walk with a cane. I've got a back injury now. I can't get out in the
Yeah.
woods like I used to. But I actually left the road and went out in the woods. And it's really weird because I'm not used to the woods being like that. I mean, I grew up deer hunting in the woods of Missouri. You get 20 feet off the path in LBL, and it just goes quiet. I mean, it's like there's nothing there. Um, and one of the weirdest things about LBL, and again, I grew up in and out of the woods. I'm a farm kid, born and raised here in Missouri. And I'm used to going out in the woods. You'll see turkey, you'll see deer, you'll see all
Yep.
kinds of stuff. On the road leading up to LBL, we saw roadkill, we saw animals in the campground just across the river from LBL. There were deer in the campground. When I got into northern LBL, nothing. Didn't see a deer,
Yeah.
didn't see roadkill, didn't even see birds.
That happens where we do our research too, especially up in the mountains. There's a couple of different spots that we like to go to, and there's zero wildlife. And at night, sometimes we'll hear owls, you know, and but I've never seen a squirrel. I've never hardly. I don't even think I've seen a bird. Okay,
Mm.
and that's where that thing screamed at us in the base camp that night.
Wow.
So go figure, right?
Yeah, well, so do you want to talk about the attack or no?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I
Shoot
can.
for it. Shoot for
I mean,
it.
I'm not. I don't want to get gory and stuff about it, but
Right.
you know,
I know
I did
some of
2
the more,
targets.
I know you've got some of the more complete details, all the raw evidence on your Patreon.
I do,
Would you
yeah,
want to give me the link to your Patreon? I'll post it in the chat.
yeah, yeah. It's
But
just the
there's a
Cryptid
fight
Huntress,
back there. Oh, it's the Cryptid Huntress?
the Cryptid Huntress on Patreon. Yeah, it's like patreon.com/the Cryptid Huntress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know everybody in the comments are like, we want to hear Jessica's story. I'm like, okay. So have at it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I put all of my datas on that Patreon, and it's, you know, the Patreon is like a monthly kind of thing, and I post all of my raw data on my Patreon so people can see it if they want the real deal behind all this. And I just kind of give an overview, okay? Because I'm out of respect for like the families, and you know, and like I said, I didn't even know if this was a real event, you know, and I was really remote viewing it to see if it was a real event because it's been so covered up, right? But
Yeah.
it could have all just been hearsay. Because like I said, I didn't know a whole lot about it when I remote viewed it. But the first thing I did was I remote viewed the actual beast of LBL. Okay. I wanted to see what that was all about and see if it really was a dog man. And, you know, and yeah, at first I was getting information that was coming in that was like, yeah, you know, there's a story. It's kind of a mythology, and a lot of people don't believe it. But then I started going down into what this thing is. Okay. And it's talking about how I started getting the way it acts. Okay. And how it's, you know, it's out there howling and making these noises, but it's quiet. You can't hear it when it runs. Okay. Totally silent. I actually drew a picture of it, and I wish I could have sent that to you guys so you could show it up on the screen. But I did show it on my show. If you guys want to see the episode, it's on the Cryptid Huntress on YouTube, the Beast of LBL episode. So you guys go to that, and you will actually see the sketch that I drew of what I saw. Now, if you guys are familiar with the dog man and the different types,
Yes,
well, after I remote viewed this, later that day, I looked. There it is. I tried to look up what I was seeing, and it was a mix between the K9 variant number 2 on the bottom and a mix between that and the K9 variant 3 beside it, the 2 on the bottom in the middle.
Really?
Okay. So it didn't have a lot of hair on it. I didn't see a bunch of hair, but it had a small snout, and it looked more like the hyena. Okay. And it had ears on the top of its head. Okay. That were sticking up. So, yeah, that's what it looked like. Okay. The hyena.
The one I saw in LBL looked more like the K9 variant 3.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the body looked a lot like that, but it was more hairless. It didn't look like it had a whole lot of hair on it. Maybe it did have hair, but it was just really short. But the head was more kind of rounded at the top. So yeah, but I wrote down German Shepherd too. So it kind of had a German Shepherd feel to it, which was kind of weird. Okay. But yeah, it was, after I was getting, you know, like kind of what the animal looked like and how it was acting, you know, it hides in the shadows and it's lurking around, and it's a scavenger kind of deal. Okay. But it spies. It kind of sits around and spies on people, and it lurks behind the shadows. Okay. There's a dominant alpha that roams around there. I don't know if it's just one or if they're all dominant alphas out there. I would assume they are. Okay.
But would have to be a pack of some sort.
But I did get that. Let me see. Okay. I did get that. There's a lone wolf, and I believe the lone wolf, Well, there's a lone wolf, but there's also a pack of them as well. Okay, so I'm not just picking up on one beast; I'm picking up on multiple, and that's anywhere from 5 to 10. Okay,
Ooh.
there's multiple ones. Okay, out there, and I got that they are killers. They are killers, and they have done a lot of attacks, and the government hides it. The government watches them, and there's a spy network that tracks them. Okay, so there's some kind of tracking going on, but their people are very aware that they're out there. Okay, so that was my first target.
When I was there, that people were aware of it. Like I said, in Grand Rivers, nobody wanted to talk about it, but in Paducah, everybody wanted to talk about it. My wife and I were talking to somebody in a barbecue restaurant just down from the hotel we stayed at in Paducah, and like 4 people just independently came up and talked to me. Just, and at the hotel, 2 or 3 people just opened up and talked about it.
Were they locals?
Yeah, locals. And I asked one guy, I said, do you know anything about the family that was killed? And he goes, which one?
Exactly.
Okay, that's interesting that you said that, because my next target was to explore the alleged attack on the family of 4 in 1982, or probably around April, at the campground there. Okay, so I honed in on that, right, on that attack, and I didn't know if it was real or not, and so I was just looking into it, and immediately, I started picking up on a family. Okay. And yes, there was absolutely an attack. And not only did I get this attack, but I started picking up on multiple attacks. Okay. Multiple families, like couples, families, individuals being attacked.
Out in that area.
Yeah. LBL.
There was one incident that happened in LBL, and I can't remember what year it was. But it was sisters. One was like 15, the other was 16 or 17, that went missing. When they found them, they wouldn't show the bodies to the family. They didn't release the autopsy report and just said it was an animal attack.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I heard about that case. After I got done doing these targets, I started kind of looking around to see, like, well, what is this data going to match up to what people are saying, and what happened there? Because now I know, like, this actually happened. Okay. And what I ended up doing was, it was so kind of out there. And so because I was hoping it wasn't real, first of all. Okay.
Right.
And it turned out to be real. And so I consulted with someone from the North American Dogman Project. Okay. He confirmed all of my data that I'd come up with. I mean, it was pretty much, he pretty much confirmed it. And it's really sad because, I was seeing things. He actually sent me a little video that I watched afterwards, and I sent him my data around immediately, just so he could see, like, there are certain key words in there that some of those people said in that video, like in interviews and stuff.
Right.
And so it was including the condition of one of the bodies and things like that. It's just stuff I didn't know about this stuff.
Certain things that you've seen backed up what.
Yes. Yeah. And I actually even drew a sketch. I actually drew a sketch, and I didn't know what it was. And I think it turned out to be the camper, and it had like little lines on it showing the way the dog men, because I believe there were 2 of them, came in, and then the way they left. Okay. And I know everyone said that they thought there was just one. I believe there were 2 in the environment when that happened.
Right.
Now, I don't know if 2 of them attacked. I know one of them definitely attacked, but I believe there were 2 in the environment.
So they are predators. They are top-notch predators for the area.
They're absolutely. And those people were trespassing on their area.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's why I set them off. Okay.
You sense them being more localized in the northern end of LBL, or because that's where seem to be most of counts come from. But there are stories of dogmen sightings all the way through LBL, even down in the southern area. But the majority of the ones that I've heard of are in the north end.
Well, I didn't get an exact map it out or anything. Like, I don't know exactly. I don't know the land out there, like, I don't know I don't have a map of it, but,
I could send you a couple of really good ones.
yeah, I would love that, just to see like what I was looking at. But these two dogmen were kind of like scavengers a little bit. They were definitely, they felt like those people were encroaching on their territory. Okay. And, yeah, I guess they were rummaging and going through their stuff. I don't know. It was rough because once they started attacking, I actually kind of, found a person in the environment to kind of get in their head and be like, okay, what happened? And they said that I said, what are you seeing? And hold on. Ooh. They were saying that something don't want me to tell you all this because my throat's getting all cloggy. But they said they were seeing strong men, but they weren't men. Okay. They did not know what they were. I literally wrote down the word beast. Yeah, it was, but there was a lot of ripping and tearing and carnage, a lot of carnage. Okay. And yeah, they were strong men, but they were not men. They were more like animals.
Let me ask you a question, Jessica. From what you experienced and what you're getting out of these animals, basically what they are, what are they? Or what? How can I put this?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like what kind of creature are they? Like,
yeah. Because we have a good idea what a Sasquatch is, and the DNA so far that they've been doing on it. Some of it's half human, and the other half is unknown.
Yeah.
What are these things? What are these things?
Well, I can tell you what they're not. They're not a Bigfoot. I don't think there's any relation to Bigfoot at all.
Okay.
I think that I used to think the dogmen were just a different type of Bigfoot, but now after all this data, I do not believe that they are connected.
Okay.
I think they kind of look similar, and people will get them confused, but I don't believe that they are the same. I guess DNA, or any kind of species. I just don't think they're related to Bigfoot.
What are you getting out of it?
Sasquatch.
I don't think they're the same.
Yeah. Well, I've started getting some really interesting data towards the end too. And I was getting like bloodsuckers and different parts of like the human brain. I know this is all in my data that I didn't discuss this on air the other night. But they're after blood for sure. Some of them are absolutely after blood. Okay. And
blood specifically, or like they drink it?
Yeah, they're blood suckers is what this is.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what I was getting. I don't know. I know isn't there a cryptid that's a bloodsucker, like maybe the chupacabra or something?
There's a vampire beast that was seen here in the Ozarks they called it the knife dog. But there's vampire beast stories of lore all over the U.S.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plus, chupacabra, which is also a blood sucking type cryptid.
I mean, I
spent an entire episode on the vampire beast.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm asking you. I mean, because of the DNA, I mean, this thing has no human DNA, obviously. Or does it?
I didn't get that.
Okay. That's what I wanted to ask you. You're picking up on it.
I didn't get as deep into this as I could have because I had to pull back because it was really gory and I wasn't expecting that.
Right.
And I have a young son at home and he's 7 and he's about the same age as those kids. So I was having a hard time with that.
I can understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. The things I was seeing. So I kind of pulled away from it, but I did get, I was getting trained. I kept hearing like trained assassins. Okay. And I was thinking, it was like these dogmen are trained assassins, right?
I understand what you're saying.
But in that case, like who's training them? Like what is that about, right? But then I was kind of meditating on a little bit and I was like, it's probably trained assassins are coming in to kill those things and to take care of them, because I did get, as my data went, got a little bit more deep, it was more like there's a cover up. There's actually, I did get here that there could be a facility that they came out of. A facility.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a facility in LBL?
I don't know if it's an LBL, but there's some sort of, they said escaped in facility. So perhaps some of these could have escaped a facility.
She's blowing my mind right now. I'm like, Yeah.
Why? Why? Is it just because it's too weird or what?
No, it's like, because there's certain, it's like we talked about before, there's certain government projects that the government does do that we'll never know about. Look what happened during World War II, and I'm not trying to get off subject. They were trying to create a super soldier.
Yeah.
And that went horribly wrong. Experimenting on humans.
Mhm.
So you're going to have, like what you said, some of this has to be true, and it has to revolve around what's going on, because these things are not falling out of the sky. They're not growing out of the dirt.
They're coming from somewhere.
Exactly.
Look at the history of dogmen. The condition
Right.
known as cynocephaly, which is having a dog-like head. Those were reported by both Marco Polo and Christopher Columbus, seen on their travels. So the condition of cynocephaly is not new. In fact, I think it's Saint Christopher or Saint Michael is depicted as having the dog-headed
I
saint.
think it's Christopher.
I think it's Saint Christopher. The first accounts that came out of the LBL area back when it was known as the land between the rivers, before the Tennessee Valley Authority dammed up the two rivers, the first reports that came out of there were in the late 1600s from French trappers.
Wow.
There's a long history of dogman type creature sightings in that area.
Yeah, it's just crazy, Jessica.
Wow.
All these things
Makes you think.
That's what I mean. I'm not saying by you blowing my mind. Yeah.
There's even a Choctaw legend of somewhere near that area of clans of Bigfoot and dogmen going to war.
Yeah, I just watched that tonight.
Wow.
I'll send you that link, Jessica, if you want it. It's crazy.
Please, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Well, see, if you guys seriously send me some information and some of these accounts, because I'd like to remote view it and I can put it on my show, every Friday.
The maps I have of LBL. And I'll see if I can gather some of the accounts that have come out of there.
I would love that.
If you look, if you put into your browser Kentucky and animal attacks, you will find there are cases that are like right in town of people that have been mysteriously killed by packs of wild dogs. There was an elderly lady that walked a trail behind her house every night, every evening for exercise, and she was allegedly killed by a pack of wild dogs. There was a 13-year-old kid that was dragged up a hillside across from his house into the woods, and they claimed it was a pack of wild dogs. So unless there's dozens and dozens of packs of wild dogs roaming around the Kentucky wilderness, there's something weird going on there.
Yeah.
It could be a pack of wild dog men.
Yeah, very much.
That sounds more like it.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. People always say, big Sasquatch, dogmen, they don't get along. It's always that ash,
Right. I know when I was in LBL, there was really not many points where I didn't feel like I was being watched. I just had the odd feeling I was being watched everywhere I went. I shot a number of videos there. And it's really a bizarre place. I have a kind of a personal dogman story. If people that are familiar with the channel will know this, but my friend Steve Monrotis, who usually hosts on Saturday nights with me, him, myself, and our wives were going to go to Branson, Missouri to eat. And at the time I was doing research for the book The Lakeview Man, and there's an abandoned campground that the Army Corps of Engineers shut down back in the early 2000s because a number of people went missing from this campground. They shut it down. You can still get in there, but it's completely overgrown. They don't allow people to camp there. They'll come in and run you out at night. We went down there to shoot a promotional video, and I had no intention of going down there to shoot to try to find a cryptid or anything. We were just filming at a creepy location, talking about where one of my books were at. And later, someone who was watching the video we shot said, "There's something behind one of those trees." Yeah. And I was like, "No, I didn't see nothing." But I watched the video and I could see eyes shine. Well, Josh Jones and Adam Shepard, two friends of mine who do video editing, they tore the video apart. And this is what they found about 9.5 feet up a tree looking out. And on the video, you can watch it moving back and forth behind the tree. There's a black and white. You can see it a little bit better. Let me see if I can find the one with the hand.
Yeah,
you can the claws. This was shot on a video on a cell phone.
Oh my gosh!
It wasn't like we were trying to find anything. So And you can see it there sticking up behind the tree. We went actually to that tree, and I couldn't reach the spot where the head's at. There is no brush there that it could have been. And on the video, you can see it move out and move back, reacting to my
Yeah. Hey,
flashlight.
you could see it, Jessica, like plain as day moving out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
That's
You
it.
know,
You can see it a little bit better there. But again, it was just shot on a crappy cell phone camera. If I'd have expected something, I would have had a much better camera. But it really freaked us out because it was like 30 yards from us, and we never heard it.
And they found it,
Wow.
what month later somebody found
Yeah,
it
it
on
was
the
about a
video?
year
A year later.
Wow.
You know.
Yeah, never throw that footage away. You can always
Exactly.
go back and look.
Well, there's so much weird
Wow.
stuff out there. It's you never know. You really don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have one of the guys that goes out with us that's from North Carolina. My friend David Pardue, he's always got this great footage. You know, he's got aliens and stuff. I mean, we get more than just Bigfoot out there. You know, we've got little people, you know, running through the woods that we've got on FLIR and stuff, videos of it.
Listen,
So,
I don't discredit anyone. I really don't, because I've seen some weird stuff. And D he'll tell you the same. I mean, I don't. Not anymore. Not after when I had my experience. No, sorry. No, like I said, I never believed in it, and there it was right in front of me, 100 yards away, looking right at me. It was like, hello. You know,
yeah.
I have an open mind about everything now. Just about anything you could throw at me.
Well, that
So-
changed your reality, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of what these things do. It totally throws you out of it. It busts you out of that little box that we're taught to live in.
Mhm.
And so it totally changes our entire reality because things that aren't supposed to be here are here and
Well,
they're real.
You think
And-
about it. I mean,
Yeah.
if all this stuff ever came out and the government admits to it, this would change everything that we were taught about history and about religion, everything, just everything.
Yeah.
We told our kids at night that monsters don't exist could be
Right.
wrong.
You know, I mean,
They do exist.
come on, it would change everybody. You know, the
Yeah.
Catholic Church is not going to admit to it. You know, that's another story by itself. But that, you know, it would just change everybody's outlook. Evolution, even
Yeah.
evolution. I mean, it's ridiculous. You know, like we were taught, Adam and Eve. You know, we weren't. You know, we didn't come from monkeys. Then you got people that believe that. Well, you know, that's how it goes. But yeah, that would change everybody's outlook. Really.
Yeah, it would. But, you know, I mean, I think it's coming out more and more though now. And
I
with
agree.
people like us talking about it, I mean, just normal everyday people, you know, having these sightings, it's getting easier to talk about it with people. I
Right.
mean, my goodness, I never in a million years saw myself having a show about it
Right.
and talking about my research. And, you know, I was tight-lipped about everything that I did. And
Well, look what they did with that owl. When they found out that one owl was in that one area.
Spotted owl. It shut
yeah.
down lock and pretty
they
much
shut
ordered-
everything down.
Oh my God, the logging industry went straight down. They stopped everything. You know, so if you
Yeah.
have these things running around in the woods, Sasquatch, dogmen, and they know about it and they admit it, what that would do to the logging industry alone? I mean,
Yeah.
with their habitat and everything like that, you know, the government doesn't want to do that. You know, it's crazy. So, I mean, of course they know about it. And I think they do. I think they know more than what they're telling us.
Well, you got to also see how easily people are, the masses are kind of brainwashed in a lot of ways too.
Mhm.
And I think there are a lot of people that are still just not wanting to come out of that reality that they're living in. And so it would
Right.
be a total disaster when you just spring this on the general public and people that aren't ready for it, you know, they're going to lose their minds, literally.
Right. Right.
So you gotta take that into consideration, you know? And so I think that's where it kind of helps that we have everyday normal people like us talking about this, that people can relate to kind of dip their feet in the water, you know, or we can dip, you know, we're dipping our feet in the water. And by that, you know, people are like, well, maybe these things are real, you know, maybe
Right.
so, I don't know. But yeah, like I said, I'm not here to prove anything, but I will share my story with whoever wants to hear it.
That's all you can do.
Right.
Chat from William Bedard. He said, "Little people on FLIR is something I want to see." You guys caught that on FLIR?
Yeah, one of my teammates. Yeah, he's got little something. I don't know if you want to call them people, but they're little creatures. Yeah, running. There's 4 of them actually, and
is that on your channel?
Yeah, it's on my channel. Actually, you can go look up Into the Portal is my show. It's on my YouTube channel. And David Pardue, actually, out of North Carolina. He's with Carolina Cryptid Research organization up there. And yeah, he's got some great footage. Actually, that's on my show of something peeking out from behind a tree. He's got hours of this footage of what we would consider to be, I guess, an alien. I don't know.
I'm definitely going to check that out.
Yeah.
William Bedard, thank you for the super chat, sir. Much appreciated. I've definitely got to go over and watch that video. That's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it right after the show now. I'm going to be like, it's got me interested like crazy now.
When you were remote viewing the LBL, you went into that pretty well cold, right?
What do you mean by cold? Blind?
You didn't do a lot of research on it. You didn't?
No, I didn't. I just knew a general story of what it was, and that a family was allegedly attacked there, and that they were mauled by a dog man.
Yeah.
So
and you said that in your searching, you said that there have been many attacks.
Yes.
How many do you think have been?
Well, like I said, the data that I was getting, I did find someone in the environment, and I said, what was my question? Did anyone die? I was like, did anyone die? And that was with the attack on the family, right? And I said, yes, more than you know. Okay. And that's when I was getting the information about other attacks. Okay. So, more than you know. Yeah. So
how many missing people have been reported in that area?
That's a good question.
If I remember correctly, in 2021, there were, I think, 23 people went missing in LBL.
In 1 year?
1 year.
And if she's getting all these she's getting all this stuff sucked into her, it's got somewhere that's got to connect. That's got to connect.
When Naomi Finn and I were doing some research on some of the disappearances, and we would find like examples of newspaper accounts, and then you go back and look for it and couldn't find it. And Josh Jones and I found one that said this person was mauled by an animal. There is no cover up, no conspiracy. Don't ask. And then even that.
Oh, really?
Well, it's like the obituaries just disappear or don't exist. But you can find references to people going missing, and then you don't find anything else.
Huh. Well, I wonder if David Politis has ever picked up on all that out there.
That's another.
What would he say? Because I know they have a hard time getting all that information from DNR and whoever's in charge up there.
We talked about that, and one of my things is that me and DA both know if a child goes missing in a national park, they're not going to send it. I could be wrong, but from my experience, DA's experience and knowledge, they're not going to send out special forces to go and find this kid.
Oh man.
They're not going to fly in a spec ops group to go out.
Special forces show up.
Right.
Which is not a character. The ones that always baffled me in my time in law enforcement, I've worked with dogs that track people. Tracking dogs live for the hunt. Those dogs cannot wait to get out of the car and start running the track. They live for that stuff. And for tracking dogs to refuse to track, there's a difference between not being able to find a scent and refusing to track. Dogs that can't find a scent, they have tells. They have specific things they will do to let their handler know, I don't smell anything, and they'll put them back in the car. And then they'll check another spot to see if they can pick up the track there. But for the dog to just absolutely refuse to follow the scent is something else entirely. Something very bad is going on if that dog will not track it.
Yeah.
And that's what's been going on. A lot of these cases, even Dave, I know Dave Politis is real touchy about the 411 cases and trying to interact it with Bigfoot or whatever else is out there. I get it, you know.
Right.
But how are these kids or people showing up 100 miles away? Some they can't find, and some show up.
They never find a trace of them.
Right. And some show up 100 miles away or 100 yards away or 300 yards away and they're fully clothed and they had to walk through a swamp and they're dry.
A dozen times.
You know.
Wow. Yeah.
Coin77 gave us a super chat. Says, "Don't ask, don't tell." Copyright edition. Well, thank you very much for the super chat, sir.
You know, in some of these cases, these kids are actually saying, I don't know how many cases, but more than one is saying that they were picked up by a bear.
Yeah, that kid missing.
The kids say that, right?
Right. He was gone for 3 days, and
a bear would have eaten it.
Right. If the bear number one, the bear would have been in hibernation in February. So that never held water with me. And in the dead of winter, a bear would not have protected a human child. It would have ate it.
Right.
If it was awake, it would be hungry. So
a lot of these cases are just creepy, weird. You know, why are these Black Hawks flying in special operation guys? And why is the FBI showing up and trying to hush everybody up? You know, even the national parks are not, some of these cases are not even being listed or reported.
Well, okay, so if you guys ever get a chance, you want to go hear a really awesome interview that I did. My teammate is Bob Grumpy Wilson, okay, and he's the head of the North Georgia Cryptid Researchers. He's also the Regional 5 Southeast Region Director of the North American Dogman Project, okay? And so he and I were at this place that we researched called The Meadow here in the South. And it was raining. We had some downtime. So I went around and set up my tripod and did a couple of interviews with some of my teammates. And so I have this one on my website, okay, or on my YouTube channel. And Bob talks about, in that interview, about being up in, I think it was in North Carolina. And they were doing some research. And a guy in like full SWAT gear came out of the woods and gun and everything. And like, body armor and stuff. And they were like, well, what are you doing here? And he looked at them and he said, the same thing you're doing here.
Do you know which area line of this was?
Yes, but I won't say it on air, but
okay,
yeah,
because there's a story out of North Carolina that a special ops team went in there to hunt down and kill a family of Sasquatch that was attacking and bothering a family.
Well, maybe
that's why it was. Yeah, that's why it was. Yeah, it was a certain area of North Carolina, and the actual two of the soldiers that were there actually gave their testimony on air, and I believe it was what show was that? DA that one guy was on that was talking about it.
I think it was These Woods Are Haunted. I think was what was on.
They were, I believe, they were Navy SEALs from the story that I got.
Yeah.
So they were a SEAL team.
Well, I trust 100% whatever he says is true.
Right. And that's why when you said that, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It happened. So.
Yeah,
I just
kind of
posted
freaky.
Your YouTube channel in the chat. So if anybody's wanting to check out those videos, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel while you're over there.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I got some pretty good videos on there. If you can, you gotta push through all the tarot stuff and all the oracle readings I'm doing. But I got all my shows are streamed live through there, and you can find all my shows on there, from Into the Portal and Remote Viewing Investigations. And yeah, I'm about to have a show on Spaced Out Radio starting next month. All those shows will be on there too.
Which is awesome. Spaced Out Radio is a great show.
It is.
I know Dave Scott for a long time. He's a great guy. So definitely check out Spaced Out Radio.
Yeah, I'd love to have you guys on my show too. I'm going to be doing a Saturday and Sunday nights there. So it's going to be all about cryptids. So
as my buddy Kerry would say, I'm down like 4 flat tires.
All right. Well, I'm going to schedule both of y'all. Okay.
Yeah,
y'all
thank
come
you.
on sometime. Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, I got plenty of shows. I'm used to doing 1 show a weekend. Now I'm going to have 3. Okay. So I'm going to do Friday, Saturday, and Sunday every night from here on out. So it's going to be a little more than I'm used to, but it'll be fun.
Right. I can understand that.
Busy is always good.
Yeah, it's fun. Hey, it's just fun. It's not even like work. It's like having a good time. So
Right. It's just like sitting around with friends and just chatting.
totally.
That's what it
Yeah.
is. That's how I feel. That's how it is when we have people on here. They get to know us. I mean, yeah, I got the dogs going and the dogs drinking water and whatever. That's just
I
me.
mean, I've made a lot of really awesome friends doing this and meeting a lot of cool people. And, I mean, I have a lot of really cool friends in the Bigfoot field and stuff, but I mean, I have had it's been humbling to say the least
Yeah.
to meet so many great people. And I actually spoke at the Georgia Bigfoot conference this past weekend, and I was one of their presenters. And I know Lisa Lou was in the chat a while ago. She actually drove down from North Carolina to come see me. And
Nice.
and yeah, it was awesome just seeing all those people there and
Yeah.
everybody having a story,
Yeah, that's even better. I mean, you can relate to people, and people don't look at you like you're crazy when you tell your story. Number one.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
okay.
my story was a little crazier than I think people were expecting, because I started talking about portals and aliens.
Yeah, but like me, that doesn't throw me off. Because really, it doesn't.
Right.
You have
those rabbit holes a number of times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mean,
you know what? I just decided to do it. I described myself the other day as a bull in a china shop right now. I'm just kind of busting out, and people are just. I've been going on a lot of podcasts and shows, and people are coming on mine, and I'm just kind of telling people how my experience and what I've seen, and I kind of quit caring really what people think, and and it's worked out fine. It's worked out fine so far.
And that's what you have to do. You just got to take it with a grain of salt and blow it off.
Right.
Until people experience it.
Alyssa Khan has a question for you. She says, what's your impression of Bigfoot?
Well, what kind of impression? I think Bigfoot is a huge, wide variety of stuff. Okay. So it's just like humans. Okay. I'm not going to say it's just like a human, but I'm saying it's just like us. Like, there's all different types of us. There's different races and colors and personality types. Okay. There's some that are really angry and mean, and there's some that are very loving and caring. Okay.
Right.
And so there's just a wide range, and there's just so many different types, just like there are different types of us. So it just depends, I don't know. I think there's families, and, like I said, it's just like us. So
it depends on what area you're in.
Yes. It depends on the areas, but it just depends on the people. I mean, not the people, Sasquatch and Bigfoot,
Right.
Depends on how they're feeling that day.
Well, it's like me. It's like I said, I'm not going to walk through Washington Heights in, New York, when I can walk over here and be fine,
Yeah.
It's just some areas you just don't want to walk in. That's it. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, I've been walking in the woods and I've hit like a brick wall that wasn't there. And it was like, I could not walk past it. It's, there's something that they're able to do energetically, I think. And I don't know if it's the Bigfoot or if it's, just the land, or maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just like my senses, my fight or flight, like, ooh, don't move, don't go past this line, because I'm picking up on the energies out there.
Bigfooting. Have experienced what they refer to as mind speak when they deal with it. I've never had that happen to me, but I've gone into areas where that primitive part of my brain has said, you should not be here. And it's not voice as like my own voice, like, I don't need to be here. Something is wrong.
Right.
Yeah, well, it's a spidey sense.
It is.
You get that chill in the back of your neck. You're like, now something doesn't feel right. I'm not going to do it. And it happens. Even when you're hunting, when I hunted, I was just like, somebody real cautious when I was tracking the dogs, because I pig hunted a lot. And then you go into these certain areas and you're like, I'm doing this. I'm just looking around constantly. And in certain areas, I would just straight in without even.
Yeah.
I was going to address that. Yes. So the remote viewing impressions. Okay. It's kind of the same answer, actually. Okay. Because, I don't remote view the Bigfoot all the time or anything like that, but we have kind of seen that there is a wide variety of Bigfoot as well. And so there's some that are like looking for food. Okay. And they're just kind of like primitive brain kind of things. And then there's some that are highly intelligent. Okay. Doing telepathy and all that kind of stuff. So there's a wide range of Bigfoot, and there's a wide range of like the impression that we get with them as far as like their intelligence and things like that. You know, some are like scavenging for food, and all they can think about is food, and they want to eat. And where's the food gonna come from? I'm hungry. And then there's some that are like geniuses, you know, that are probably way more intelligent than we are. Okay.
Have you ever done a remote viewing on something, and what you're viewing becomes aware of your position?
Interesting question. Not really. I have remote viewed myself, I think.
That was viewing something that demonic, and it turned and looked at them.
Yeah, you have to be very careful when you're remote viewing. Okay. And you have to take precautions. You have to take steps to protect yourself energetically before you start remote viewing, especially when you're doing like an ERV session, like an energetic remote viewing session.
Okay.
You do not associate with the lower vibrational energies. Okay. So that would be what I guess you said, a demon or something, or some kind of low vibe. You got to walk right past that stuff. Okay. So, yeah, that's why it takes a lot of training to do remote viewing. Okay. Because it can be very dangerous. It can be. So like I said, I'm not an expert on it, and I just love doing it, and it's fun for me. But I also I'm very careful about what I remote view too. I mean, yeah, I'm remote viewing this dogman attacks and stuff, but there's certain things like I don't sit around just remote viewing all day. You know?
No, I know. We know. Yeah. No, exactly.
Yeah. You know, and it's very intrusive. It can be very intrusive. Okay.
Hey, listen, if the Catholic Church can come out and say that demons are real, you know, come on. Yeah. You know, they believe in exorcism and stuff. Yeah. You don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I agree with you.
Right.
Now, when you were viewing LBL, did you detect not just the dogmen, but did you detect any like darker presences like that?
Darker presence. Well, you know, I was focused on the dogman. Okay, so I can tell you that I did not detect Bigfoot in the vicinity when I was doing it. That doesn't mean they weren't there, of course. Mm-hmm. But no, my focus was on the dogman, okay, and that attack. So I didn't get anything really other than the dogman that I know of, other than let's see. Let me look at my data, because that's an interesting question. I mean, some of this could have been interpreted, maybe. I don't think so, though. No, because I was only focused on the dogman. Okay, whatever attacked that family is what I was focused on. Yeah. So it was just those. Yeah.
I was just wondering if maybe there was like a malevolent presence that has attached itself to the land, because the land there is, you know, it's even the Native Americans thought that was a very odd place, a very dangerous place. Yeah. The became land between the lakes.
I can absolutely go deeper into it and look into that. And that may be something I want to do in the future, because I mean, if there's so many attacks and things that are happening, it could use some more looking into, to be honest, you know.
Yeah, because
like it's drawing them there.
Yeah, because a lot of these guys doing this, I know somebody in the Green Swamp area had experiences where these dark shadow things were actually coming back to their house that they've seen out there, you know, they're like entities that have attached themselves to these people in this one area.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Now, I did come home one weekend from the meadow when I was that place that we research, and I had orbs floating around my son that night. It's almost like I had some clingers on, like something followed me, I guess, and I had two solid orbs about the size of ping pong balls floating around my son's head, and my son's dad was actually recording it with his phone. And he could not see the orbs with his eyes. He could only see them through the phone. My son and I could watch them. We followed them with our eyes and could see them with our eyes, but yet he couldn't. So that tells me that not everybody can see all this phenomenon,
right?
And there's a frequency to it. There's some sort of a vibrational frequency. something that we were on different frequencies, apparently, because he could not see them at all.
It's like
Except for
DA's
through
his wife and kids. They, like he just said,
You
they
know,
pick up on it. Like me, I'm a brick like him. I mean, a ghost could walk right in front of me and be like, "What ghost?"
Yeah, that's how it is. And so, and
Mhm.
but it's interesting to think that in that way, because, people wonder like, well, why don't I ever see a ghost? Well, I guess maybe you're just not on the frequency,
Mhm.
why, when I had the experience with what I would call ETs, okay, um, who's to say they had not always been there and had not always
Mhm.
come to visit me? Well, the
Right.
reason that I saw them now, did I manifest that experience? Because I was reading about alien abductions, and I had never studied that before,
Right.
and I started. Well, and it was right after I had that experience out in the field where I had a UFO flying over my head while we were doing Bigfooting. Okay, so I started researching alien abductions and aliens, and reading books like The Threat and Alien Agenda and Communion, and I guess I kind of overdid it because I woke up and there was an alien in my room.
Right. Oh, your
So
mind. Yeah, your mind can just. I know. It plays. It can mess you up bad.
well,
well,
did I raise my frequency, or did
Right.
I was it just revealed to me finally, and maybe
Right.
I'd been abducted my whole life? I don't know. you know,
Right.
I
for
don't
those of us
know.
that are actually going out to some of these places, and I know some of the people that are watching go out and look for Bigfoot and things like that. There are people that actually physically go out and look. And I wound up in some pretty weird areas. Are there things we can do as precautions to prevent something from following us?
I mean, I always use like a protective energy bubble every time I go in the woods, and surround yourself with the white light. It really is all about energy in a lot of ways.
Right.
Now, there are certain things that it's harder to protect yourself against certain things like ETs. Okay, that's something that I don't know if anybody can control those things at all. They're a different breed. Okay, but yeah, it's just protecting yourself energetically, and just do it. I'd caution people against opening yourself up too much to getting a psychic attack or something. Any kind of energetic attacks. I mean, because things will cling on to you. They will follow you home. Um, I have a teammate who was attacked at home after this teammate was out in the
Really.
field one weekend. Yeah, by, I guess you could call it like a poltergeist or some kind of dark entity or something.
Okay.
It was very traumatic. So we have to be really careful when we're out there.
I
Yeah.
pretty sure
That's
something
crazy.
followed me from LBL last year because for several weeks after that, it was like a dark presence around the house. And I have a friend who's Native American. He's Navajo. He called me and he said, "Dude, I don't want to alarm you, but I think you got something attached to you." And he noticed it, and I was even my dog was noticing it, and he told me a few things like the blessing way and things that I could do to protect the house, and it's been gone. I mean, since that
Yeah.
blessing was formed, it's been gone. But I'm pretty sure something followed me home from LBL, and it was something very sinister. It was just a dark form.
Oof. Yeah. I keep sage in my house, and I sage my house pretty often.
Yeah.
Just because, it's all about energy. That's what it is. I mean, this is what the whole universe is made of. Energy, frequency, vibration.
Oh
So,
yeah. Yeah.
you know,
One of our guys are in the audiences tonight's Fred in Alaska. I'm sure you've seen his
Yeah.
comments. Fred has had some interesting Bigfoot encounters up in Alaska, especially up along the Nishigack River. They're very, very violent.
Yeah.
wow.
He said the
You need
ones
to
in
go
Alaska,
to his channel,
yeah,
Jessica,
you
when you
don't
get a
you don't hear
chance.
stories of them, peacefully interacting with people. You hear them trying to rip people apart.
Yeah.
It's
Whoa.
a
He's got
dangerous area.
some. Yeah. He's got some
Some
really good stuff. I mean.
really amazing content.
Yeah.
I'm
And
going to go check his channel out then.
I mean, he has firsthand experience, not just one, two,
Wow.
numerous times. I mean, he's born and raised up there, so
Wonder why they're
he,
so violent up there. Now, I am familiar with the Portlock, Alaska Bigfoot story, where
that's
they,
where. That's
okay.
basically, I guess that's his area, Fred. If you can hear me on chat, if I'm wrong or right, brother. But yeah, he's basically in that general area. Um, He's got some really crazy encounters that would blow your mind, really, on his page. He just started out on YouTube. So
I'll write that down.
yeah. Maybe he's trying to answer. Where is it? Bristol
Bay.
Yeah. Thanks, Fred. Sorry if I got it wrong, brother.
Yeah, I have a friend that lives in Alaska. I would love to go travel up to Alaska and do some Bigfooting. I think that'd be fun. But I don't know now, though. That sounds kind of violent. So
DA just said, he goes, my computer just crashed. I'll be back as soon as. Yeah, we have nothing but problems with this stream.
I actually had to get my internet company to come out and fix my internet because I was just a big blur for the past month on all my shows. So
yeah,
so they finally came out and fixed it, and it was all their fault, not mine.
I think it's Restream. I think it's the Restream that we're using. Mm-hmm. Nothing but problems, and I think DA is going to look into StreamYard to use, because everybody that we know, or that I know, has been using it, never had problems with it. So it's like yours was messing up, and as soon as you got on, mine messed up. I was gone. Now his is messed up. He's gone.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know with this internet stuff, but here he is. He's probably popping
technology.
Back in. I know, right?
Now, wait, am I in the driver's seat now? What's going on?
No, I am. I'm taking over. No, you could. I'm just very fascinated by the story about the LBL that with.
Yeah, me
and
too.
I know you don't want. I know you don't want to get into detail, and I understand that out of respect, and I know it's gory, and I'm not going to ask you. I heard the story. I've heard the two accounts. I listened to both of them. One account has the woman's body up in a tree, and the other account has the dogman body up in the tree. You know, you get two different various stories.
I did not get a dogman up in the tree.
Okay.
And I also only detected 4 people there. So I know that there's some controversy around an extra person being there.
Mm-hmm.
I did not pick up on a 5th person in the environment.
Okay. Because he said that he shot at it, I'm
just saying, I'm not saying he wasn't there. I'm just saying that it wasn't in my data. So
No, I agree with you on that. Yeah. Yeah. Here he is. He's coming back in, DA. He's jumping in. He's jumping
for some weird reason, my computer just crashed.
Where is he?
Mine did that earlier. So I'm there's maybe it's the higher ups.
The copy and paste a link.
It takes. I don't know. I think it's this Restream program that we're using. To be honest with you, I really do. There you are. What happened? Doing all right? Yeah, what happened?
Crazy computer. I went to grab a link and just crashed.
I think it's the Restream that we're using. I'll be honest with you.
I have to probably looked at switching to maybe another service.
This happened 3 times now.
We're having constant problems with this one anymore. Mm-hmm. It used to be this way.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, Jessica, this guy Fred in Alaska just started out his page. The stories are just really crazy. Really nice guy. We had him on the show. He's been on numerous shows. Like, you ever want to get him on your show? Give him a ring. He's a really cool guy. He's going out. He's doing more research. He's going to be making a documentary on this stuff also. He's
his channel in the chat. Everybody, make sure you give him a like and subscribe to his channel. It's a growing channel. Just started out. He's got some great content. That's Fred in Alaska here in the chat.
Yep, he's one of the good ones. I'll just leave it at that. He's one of the good ones. You know.
Right, thank you.
Private chat if you want to copy the link.
Yeah. Okay.
Flat Rock is on. Hey, Flat Rock.
Hey, Flat Rock.
Everybody's on. It's crazy what you get. Like you said, out in LBL. Like, I've never heard dogman stories here in Florida, especially in my area. Everything is Bigfoot. Don't know why. Maybe it's just the environment. I don't know. But everybody says they're here. I've never heard stories here.
We have one right here with my county where I live, and it's on the same road that my cousin lives on, and she had never heard of it though. So that was the funny thing.
And you're in
was
Georgia.
Not familiar with it. I'm in Georgia, but
Right.
I have family that works at the sheriff's department, and can confirm that they've had multiple calls that that there's a werewolf running across the road up there, and BFRO actually has a report on it, so you can go look it up.
Really?
Yeah, there was an investigation of it.
That's rare. Yeah,
Yeah.
BFRO. Yeah, that's crazy because everybody, dogman. Yeah, like north and here. I've never heard of a story here in Florida, especially where I had my sighting, and I wish I did. I wish there was more out here. Well, not really, but I mean that I can go and do some research on. Everything's Bigfoot here.
Yeah.
It's too bad. We got other stuff here to worry about. We got pythons, iguanas,
No, that's
piranhas, snakeheads in the. I mean, it's crazy what we got here in Florida.
You guys have a big community down there too. I mean, I've been in contact and talked to a bunch of the guys down there that doing the swamp ape thing, and had a couple on my show and been on a couple of their shows, talking about Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But yeah, and ghost hunters. You guys have a lot of really good ghost hunters down in Florida too.
Yeah, and there's a big thing down here with the ghost that people go out and do some ghost hunting, and they have their own facilities you could go to, like graveyards and stuff like that here.
Yeah, but you got to look out for those pythons, right? What is up with all the snakes?
Well, after Hurricane Andrew, not to get off topic, after Hurricane Andrew, most of the stuff that people had in their houses away because the houses were destroyed, and that's mostly down in South Florida, Miami area. Even the iguanas. The iguana population is crazy in South Florida. Actually, you can actually hunt them all year round, and they tell you to. The sheriff's department, the sheriff's department will be like, "Go ahead, go hunt them." Even the snakes.
Can you eat iguana? I'm just asking for a friend.
They call it a tree chicken.
Oh my gosh!
They're good. They're actually good. I've had it. They're really good.
All right.
No lie. Yeah.
Well, I mean, gotta eat it if you kill it.
So I want to look at it. But you mean, even in South Florida, you go fishing. We were just talking about it. They have piranhas in the canals here in South Florida.
No way. Really?
Yeah.
I know there's piranhas.
Piranhas, pacus, giant cichlids. It's crazy.
Wow.
Snakeheads. All these aggressive, invasive fish. It's nuts. So the state is the perfect habitat.
Yeah, for a lot of weird stuff. William Bedard gave us another super chat. He says, "I'm in Georgia. What town? What town?"
Yeah, well, I don't usually give the location where I live out on live air, but it's it's in Northwest Georgia. It's Northwest Georgia is all I'm gonna say.
That's right. Don't ask people. Yeah. That's not nice.
It's okay. No, but people want to know where these things are at. We never give our locations away either, where we do our research and stuff, because we're still researching it. We don't want people busting up in there and messing up our research.
Right.
So, yeah. But yeah, it's Northwest Georgia, and it's very rural. Okay, country, real country out there.
The story of the missing hunter came from. The story was there were 3 hunters went hunting in the mountains of Northwest Georgia. They were staggered out down a ridge line, and the one that was the farthest down, when everybody got in place, they heard gunshots coming from down the last tree stand. So the other 2 hopped down and go running down there. They found the 2 strand had been ripped out of the tree and twisted. They found his gun had been snapped in half, and they never found the hunter.
They never found the man?
Never found him.
No.
Wow, that was in Northwest Georgia, huh? Interesting.
Yeah, there's some crazy stuff.
Numerous Bigfoot sightings in that area.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Huh. I can tell you for sure we do have Bigfoots. We have a lot of Bigfoot in Georgia.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
It's nuts. Even down here by me, like I said, the sightings are off the chain, and I'm literally minutes away.
Yeah. You know, I did a Bigfoot investigation down in Georgia. I mean, Florida. Sorry, Florida. And but it was at the northern part of Florida. It was near Chattahoochee area.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it was at somebody's person's house.
Okay.
That was having a lot of activity down there. So
What,
I didn't
smacking
find. We
on the
didn't
house
find
and
any.
stuff? What, like
Yeah,
smacking on the house? Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff going on down there. Yeah. I think that house. I think the family was later on Animal Planet on some show or something. But we were down there a few years ago investigating their property.
Yeah, I know one person personally in Jacksonville. He's having a big issue, major issue, and I can't get a hold of him. These things are like hitting the house, jumping on the roof, ripping the lights off the house. They actually one of them broke in to the back patio porch area, and it's the male that doesn't like him. There's 5 of them, and it's the male that doesn't like him. I mean, he's actually dodged rocks the size of bowling balls going towards his head.
Wow.
So his wife feels he feels threatened, and his wife feels threatened. And I'm trying to get him on the show, and I know he's having problems with the internet. And I talk to him every so often. And I have his wife I talk to, and he's just very leery about coming on the show because he doesn't think people are going to believe him.
Yeah.
You know,
it takes a lot to go public and talk about these things. It really did.
Yeah,
it did for me at least. Yeah.
It's
it
hard.
Really does.
I mean, you tell people this thing's attacking your house, they're going to go, huh? You know.
Yeah.
I know what I would do. I know what DA would do, but I can't speak for everybody else. I know exactly what I would do. You know, I'd be on the front paper right now.
I'm all for not hunting a Bigfoot to prove it for science.
Exactly.
Ball of wax. If it's attacking my house, at that point, there's going to be an impressive volley of fire going back.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll be on the front paper, like this, holding a body or something, because I don't believe in that. Your home is your home.
Right.
If these things want to attack your home, you got to come to a happy medium. These things have to understand, hey, this is where I live. You stay over there, I'll stay here, and that's it. This is
especially if you have kids.
And he does, and this is the case. He can't even go into his backyard. Okay, I got pictures. I have pictures personally that he sent to me. He goes to take the garbage out. He has to carry a rifle with him because this thing is right across the street. You can see it. It's standing there watching him. The eye shot's coming through. He's got, that's how scared he is. And this guy's, he's not a wimp.
Yeah.
This guy, you can hear it. I was on the phone with him one night. You can hear this thing running on the roof. I was like, bro, he calls the sheriff's department out, and the sheriff's department, they know him by name. They think he's crazy. And I can hear this thing hitting the house, and you can hear his wife.
Can he put some game cams out? Have you guys talked about putting some cameras?
Jessica, he's done everything. These things won't go past the infrared light. Even with the night, the motion detector lights, they'll rip them down. He's got pictures of this thing ripping the door out to get into the house. His wife was home one night.
Oh my gosh.
You could see the teeth marks on the door and the scratch marks on the back door where it's been trying to rip it. I got pictures that I'm not going to. DA, I think I sent it to DA. He's seen them, but I'm not going to put them out there.
I'm not going to put them on the air.
Right. It's crazy. And I believe this guy. He's told me in panic, like, Aunt, man, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, shoot it. I don't know what to tell you. But the other ones won't bother him. It's only the male. This one male does not like him, and he doesn't know why. And I'm like, bro, I don't know what to tell you. And he's not the only one. It's doing it to 3 other neighbors in this area.
Oh, wow.
Out of the area.
Right. Yeah. Wow. I got a picture. I'll send Jessica. I'll send you there's a picture of one looking at him on the bottom of a house, like a
Oh,
basement level. It's an
like,
abandoned. It's an abandoned house in the back of the woods.
yeah.
You could see it. Look plain as day. I'll send it to you.
Please do. Wow.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts.
Creepy.
Yeah, it's crazy what goes on. You know.
Yeah, anything walking on your roof of your house is not fun. It reminds me of the Ape Canyon attack.
Right.
You know, where those poor guys, you know, that's something people keep asking me if I'm going to remote view that. And I can. I mean, it seems pretty cut and dry, honestly. You know, from the accounts that those gentlemen gave, but still interesting though.
That's a crazy story too. Yeah.
If you do a more in-depth remote viewing of the LBL area, I would like to know if you find something more sinister lurking beneath. I don't know. It's just a weird feeling from having been there. Even the Native Americans who lived in the area called it cursed ground.
Yeah.
Places littered with old family cemeteries, abandoned buildings. The people used to live there until the Tennessee Valley Authority dammed up the area and eminent domain took the land. There's still places you can see the remnants of homesteads. There's a couple of silos still there. Lots of little family cemeteries. It's a really odd place, and it just has an energy all its own.
Yeah, I was just looking at all my data here. Yeah, I absolutely would like to look more into it, you know, just for the, you know, even just for the other attacks. Yeah, I didn't pick up on anything extra like that, but yeah, I did with the Bell Witch case though. You know, that was cursed land. It was actually cursed.
Something similar to that in LBL.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. What is that about? I'm sorry.
The Bell Witch?
Yeah.
It was about a family that had been haunted by what they called a witch.
Okay.
They were pretty, I guess, wealthy. A family that was pretty wealthy that moved from North Carolina to Tennessee. And the man, John Bell, was a farmer, and he had a whole bunch of land. He actually owned slaves. I didn't know that when I was remote viewing it because I couldn't understand. Like, I kept coming up with voodoo. I kept hearing voodoo. You know, and it would make sense once I realized that he and the woman who allegedly cursed him, she never went anywhere without 3 slaves by her side, like her assistants, you know, whatever she was calling them. And so, I mean, that would explain that, you know, maybe that's where the voodoo was coming from. You know, if I was a slave and, you know, and I had roots that, you know, that was part of my, you know, Santeria or whatever, I'd probably be cursing him too.
Yeah.
You know, if I were them.
A few months back, I just posted the link. If anybody hasn't seen the show we did on the Bell Witch, I just posted the link in the chat.
Oh wow!
Check it out.
Wait, you guys did a show on the Bell Witch?
When Naomi Finn was on the show, we did about a 2.5 hour show on the Bell Witch.
Oh my gosh! Well, I'm going to watch that for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah, I just sent it to you.
You guys do it. You know a lot about it then. Okay, this is awesome.
I just sent you that picture, Jessica.
Yes.
On your messenger.
I host Into the Portal on KGRA digital broadcasting. I don't anymore. I used to. I actually quit that show so I could start Spaced Out Radio.
Okay.
So
when did you start Spaced Out Radio?
The first weekend of May, in about 2 weeks.
Oh, nice.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I am super excited about that.
Good. I think you'll have a very good show.
Yeah. We are just past the 2 hour mark, which is usually where we start winding things up. I want to thank you so much for coming on. We've got a great chat tonight, great information. You really give me a lot to think about with LBL, and I would like to hear what you discover if you dig deeper into it. Yeah. I'm planning on going back to LBL this year. I'm not sure when, but I am planning another trip to LBL. I also want to go to Taylor, Mississippi, and Brown Springs, Oklahoma. So I'm planning some trips in the very near future. I like going to these places where these things happened. I'd also like to go where the siege of Honobia was at, Honobia, Oklahoma. There's a lot of places I really want to go, and I am going to go in the very near future. So look for videos for those. Again, Jessica, thank you so much for coming on.
Yes.
Guys, check her channel out on YouTube, The Cryptid Huntress. I posted the link in the chat a couple of times. Also, watch her on Spaced Out Radio. If you're not a subscriber to Spaced Out Radio, just go to YouTube and put Spaced Out Radio. You'll find it. It's got Dave Scott, who's the host through Monday through Friday, and Jessica is going to be the host on the weekends. It's a great show. Lots of great information. I've been a guest on SOR 3 or 4 times. Dave's an awesome host. SOR is a great show, and Jessica's going to be a weekend edition. Again, thank everybody for coming tonight. Thank you guys so much. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We had issues with Jessica's connection, and then we had issues with Anthony, and then mine crapped out.
Yeah.
So,
Jessica, if you ever get down here with you and your husband and the kid, come on down, Jessica.
Okay, there's no husband, but a kid. I just have a kid.
just come on down. I mean, I'll take you out to the area over here.
Yeah, I would love to go. Any chance to get out in the woods is a good opportunity for me. Yes.
I'd love to have your viewing on that.
Thank you.
Blue Cruise says, Jessica, are you able to target and remote view into the past origins of cryptids or humanoids such as Bigfoot and Dogman?
I probably can. I mean, I can pretty much remote view anything. So that would be an interesting target, actually. Yeah.
Look for the origins of Bigfoot and Dogman. You can do a whole series on those. That would be fantastic.
Oh, man. Yeah. Do a whole new show, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Taylor, Mississippi can be very dangerous, DA. And I know people have had some very dangerous stuff happen there. I've heard a lot of really weird stuff, including a trucker who was almost attacked in his truck on the side of the road near Taylor, Mississippi. Taylor is a hot spot for Dogman activity, and I cannot wait to go. I know my wife's not excited about me going, but hey, that's what I do.
Even the banjo music, you got to be careful of too, DA.
When I was a child, my mother used to say I would blunder in where angels feared to tread. And that's kind of the theme of my life.
Yeah.
When I was on the riot team, I never wanted to be the second guy through the door. I always wanted to be first. So it's just kind of how I've always lived my life. So I will definitely be going to some of these places, especially Taylor is on the list. I can't wait to go.
Everybody loved her on the show.
There was an incident in Taylor, Mississippi called the Siege at Lockett Ranch, where a family called the Lockett family, they fought an ongoing land war with a clan of dogmen for over a year, where they gave up and abandoned the land.
Okay, I just wrote that down because I've got to look into that. That's something to look into right there. Wow.
There are a few podcasts that have done the Lockett Ranch, and we've talked about it on several shows. But it's a fascinating story, and I would like to hear what you come up with there. But there's still dogman sightings. There was a news report that came out of Taylor, Mississippi, just last year about animal mutilations that they didn't know what was doing it. And these were not small animals; these were horses and large cattle that were being mutilated and broken. So that it's not like just a mountain lion twisted a horse's head around backwards.
Wow!
Really interesting animal attacks still going on to this day in that area. It's an area I would like to get your impression on it, because anything you can tell me on the area kind of gives me more preparedness to go in physically, and I am going in. Just a matter of time.
So we could basically say that she's our personal remote viewer for the show. Then
there you go. Give
a holler.
That's
give
it.
A holler if you need something remote viewed. Okay.
She's our superhero. Go look at this so we can go in there.
Mississippi. It's one of those areas that's kind of a hot spot for dogman activity. Can't wait to go. But again, thank you for coming on. You are awesome.
Thank you. Thank y'all for having me. I had a blast. I really had fun. This is a great conversation, y'all.
I did.
Thank you.
If you go a little more in depth into LBL and you look at Taylor, I would love to have you back on just to talk about it.
Hey, I'll do it. We'll plan on it.
Okay. Let me know you're ready, and we'll do it again.
Yes.
It sounds good to me. Yeah.
Yes.
It had to be on a weekday because I'm going to be busy on the weekends, y'all.
That's it. Whatever you want to do, you can do.
And I'll bring y'all on my show. Okay. So we'll talk about it there.
That's good. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for joining us tonight. Anthony, thank you for all your help tonight, brother. I hope to see you guys this coming Saturday. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag because he hasn't 100% confirmed. But this Saturday, we may possibly have a very large name in the Bigfoot community. I'm just waiting to hear back from him. I've already been exchanging emails.
Should I do this now? Hold on.
Yeah, Anthony. Anthony got it. Anthony has really got us. Anthony's the one that got Jessica. I mean, he's been really knocking it out of the park, getting us some amazing guests.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, she was
Thank you, Anthony.
I wanted to get her on the show because of what she was into. I thought that would be like a big plus.
And like I said in the beginning, I was kind of on the fence about remote viewing. I wasn't really sure how it applied, but I really, really like how you approach things.
Right.
I like the information, and some of the things you said about LBL line up with the story that Jody Cook got directly from one of the officers that were there. So I'm like, holy crap, this is right on the money. And then when you mentioned that there was more than one family, that exactly lined up with what I got from an eyewitness in Paducah, Kentucky. So it's just amazing. You are an extremely talented, amazing lady, and we are very, very thrilled to have you join us.
Yes.
And I hope
Thank you.
do it very soon. And
Thank you.
best of luck on Spaced Out Radio. I know you're going to do amazingly well, and can't wait to have you join us again.
All right. Can't wait to come back. Thanks, y'all.
Yeah, no problem, Jess. Good night, Jess.
Saturday. And probably by tomorrow, I should have the show programmed and up, so you guys will see who the big mystery guest is.
Yeah.
But I think you guys are going to be pretty happy with the outcome, and we can thank Anthony for that. Hope you guys have a great night. We will see you guys on Saturday. Jessica, and thank you. You were awesome, and can't wait to do it again. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you once again for joining us as we look into the dark corners of this world that most people cannot. Join us every Wednesday and Saturday at 8 p.m. Central Standard for more haunting tales of the unknown. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to receive notifications when we go live or drop new content. Stay safe out there and don't become one of the missing.